I didn't utter a single word when they handed me that eviction notice. I just slid the 1923 water rights deed across the table and watched as 35 McMansions turned into lake front property. The Willowbrook Estates HOA thought they could steal my grandfather's farm while I was deployed in Afghanistan, building their perfect suburban paradise on stolen land, complete with tennis outfit Karens patrolling in golf carts. What they didn't know was that I'm an Army Corps engineer, and the little earth dam on my property had been waiting 45 years for someone stupid enough to build downstream. The audacity was something to behold until the spillway gates opened and their luxury development got its first taste of natural flooding. This is the story of the most satisfying HOA takedown involving federal water law and gravity. I'm Jake Morrison, 34, a third-generation owner of 47 acres of prime Texas land just outside Austin. My grandfather, Pops, bought this property in 1955 when Austin was a sleepy college town and barbecue joints outnumbered tech companies 1,000 to 1. Pops believed in taking care of the land and its people. In 1978, he built a small earth dam to collect rainwater for cattle and help downstream neighbors during dry spells, designed with Army Corps guidance. He always said the back 40 acres would be worth something special, but for now, they were rolling hills where we ran cattle, and I learned to hunt. Then came my 2 tours in Afghanistan, where I specialized in water management and infrastructure, learning how precious clean water is and how fiercely people fight over it. While I was on my second deployment, Pops passed away, and the property went into a trust managed by my sister Sarah, who lives in California and knows as much about Texas land law as I do about surfing. She hired Lone Star Land Services to handle taxes and upkeep, but they never checked the tax assessments. Big mistake. Enter Margaret Maggie Thornwell, 52, president of Willowbrook Estates HOA, the kind of woman who drives a white BMW X7 and treats tennis outfits like business attire. Maggie's got that passive-aggressive southern sweetness, smiling while stabbing you in the back, married to City Councilman Rick Thornwell, which explains how she gets things done. She's known for neighborhood beautification, a fancy term for forcing out anyone who doesn't fit her suburban vision. When I returned in August 2023, expecting to see rolling pastures and Pop's Dam sparkling in the Texas sun, I found construction crews, concrete trucks, and survey stakes across my back 40. A suburban invasion. The dust and my rising fury choked me as I confronted the foreman, who shrugged, saying, "This is Willowbrook Estates property now." A police officer explained that the HOA had filed an adverse possession claim while I was overseas, exploiting a law meant to prevent land from sitting empty. Maggie rolled up in her golf cart, her syrupy voice dripping. "Your family abandoned this land, honey. We're putting it to good use." What boiled my blood was discovering her crews had diverted the creek feeding Pop's Dam, dropping the water level daily and undoing 45 years of water management that helped neighbors through droughts and floods. Maggie's parting shot, "You should have stayed closer to home, soldier boy," made it clear this was war. I hired an attorney who quoted $85,000 to challenge the zoning change Rick had fast, racked while I was deployed, flipping my land from agricultural to residential. But my Army Corps training kicked in. While the lawyer shuffled papers, I dug through county records and found Pop's 1978 dam permits, built with federal guidance, giving it federal jurisdiction HOA couldn't override. Then I uncovered a 1923 water rights deed to Willow Creek, older than the city itself. They weren't just stealing my land, they were stealing my water. Maggie played the victim, organizing an HOA meeting about the dangerous dam, complete with a news crew she tipped off crying about children's safety. Her next door post warned of unstable individuals, implying me. I watched construction crews pour foundations as the dam's water level dropped. But I called my EPA buddy Tony Riggs, who confirmed diverting a waterway without federal permits violated the Clean Water Act. I documented everything: trail cameras, time-stamped photos, flow measurements, while Sarah begged me to take the money and walk away. But this wasn't about money. It was about the crunch of gravel under construction boots, Maggie's heels clicking in zoning hearings, and Pop's Dam, built to help the community. Texas water rights are ancient, harder to steal than oil, but you have to fight smart. Maggie escalated with a neighborhood safety patrol, photographing visitors and filing complaints about my radio, farmhouse, and septic system. Rick ordered a wellness check, painting me as a troubled veteran. A regulatory SWAT team, building inspector, fire marshal, health department, animal control, hit me with minor violations, but I hit back. Tony confirmed the HOA Creek diversion required federal clearance, with $50,000 daily fines. Their development sat in a 100-year floodplain, and their flood mitigation was to divert water onto my land. Insurance fraud. Maggie's Houston HOA had paid $2.3 million for a similar scheme, and she'd fled to Austin. I allied with neighbors like Mrs. Chen, whose garden withered, and Miguel Santos, whose farm was rezoned out of existence. We uncovered a pattern. Maggie's HOA had absorbed 6 properties through harassment and zoning tricks. A certified letter announced an eminent domain hearing in 2 weeks, but storm clouds brought opportunity. Maggie offered $180,000 for land worth $890,000, and a hit piece called me a troubled veteran. She staged a photo op with mothers and kids near my property, #ProtectOurKids. But Tony revealed the EPA was investigating, and Maggie's Houston fines followed her. Her loans relied on fraudulent water access claims. I refused her $400,000 offer, and she tried to manipulate Sarah, who laughed her off. With environmental lawyer Amanda Cross, we formed a coalition with farmers and the Audubon Society, documenting ecological damage. I found Pop's Dam had an emergency spillway, unopened since 1982, perfect for restoring the creek's flow. Maggie's crew blocked the creek bed with concrete, justifying my plan. With heavy rains forecast, I prepared to open the gates. A misfiled 1978 covenant required maintaining natural flow patterns, superseding HOA claims. Amanda uncovered the HOA insurance lies, and Rick's company was the primary investor. Pop's journals showed the dam's community purpose, and Maggie's diversion created upstream flooding risks. At sunset, holding Pop's journal, I decided to open the gates, not for revenge, but to restore the natural order. Amanda filed federal complaints, Tony ensured EPA oversight, and Miguel documented agricultural damage. Mrs. Chen's gossip network tracked HOA moves. I calculated a controlled release of 8 million gallons to restore the creek without damage, posting warnings and notifying the fire department. Maggie hired security to sabotage the spillway, but they were arrested. She smeared me on TV, but Amanda's fraud reports froze the HOA insurance, halting construction. At 7:02 a.m., with federal agents watching, I opened the gates. Water flowed gently back to the creek's original bed. Miguel wept, saying, "This is the water that fed my grandfather's farm." Maggie screamed, "Terrorist," but EPA agent Kim confirmed my legal right. News helicopters broadcast the truth: no flooding, just natural flow. Rick's recorded rants and Maggie's Houston fines unraveled their scheme. In court, Amanda's evidence, governance, EPA testimony, historical photos, proved our case. Rick admitted to zoning fraud, and Maggie's past was exposed. Judge Walsh, cornered, ruled in our favor, denying restraining orders. Rick got 3 years for conspiracy. Maggie faced $8. $7 million in penalties, and the HOA dissolved. My land's value hit $1. $2 million, and I returned Miguel's farm. The creek now attracts ecotourism, Mrs. Chen's garden thrives and wildlife returned. The Willow Creek Conservation Trust ensures permanent protection. Maggie's Houston HOA faced RICO charges, sparking a nationwide water rights movement. From my porch, watching the creek flow, I know Pop's legacy lives. Justice flows like water, and communities that fight together win together.